Uh, this is Cloyd Case. I live in Milwaukee, Indiana. And this is my own personal views on what really happened with the economy in this country. And sadly to say, but it did start in August 31st, 1981, when Mr. Reagan, then sitting president, George Bush Sr. was vice president. He deregulated the transportation industry, and as soon as he got done signing it, 1.5 million jobs disappeared out of the trucking industry and the railroad industry. And I said I was involved in it personally. I didn't work for 8 years because of that. And that's the reason why I'm out in Indiana. I started all my railroad history over in Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, and then wound up out here a couple hours from Chicago because of Mr. Reagan. Yeah, I don't know whether you people remember it or not, but remember the expression Reaganomics? Well, that's what all this is about. Because he gave then Mr. George Bush, his vice president, a job to do. And that job was Mr. Bush's sole thing to do while he was in office, was to get together an agreement so that they could export jobs out of here into Mexico and other developing countries, so they get into cheap labor and don't have to pay any dues on their product coming back in the United States. So it's needless to say, but it took George a long time to get it done. But he finally did, but he didn't get to sign it. He served 8 years as vice president for Mr. Reagan. Then he served 4 years on his own. And he didn't get to sign it until some young guy from down south came along. His name slipped my mind. Well, I'll remember his name here in a few minutes. Bill Clinton. And Bill Clinton told Congress and everybody, no, I won't sign it until you put in there protect the employees so that they won't lose any jobs. And Warren Buffett made the statement, I think it was Warren Buffett, don't quote me on that, but he or somebody made the statement that if Mr. Clinton signed that NAFTA agreement, that you're going to hear a loud noise, and that noise is going to be the jobs flowing out of this country. Well, lo and behold, we heard that loud noise, and boy, did the jobs flow out, and they're still going. Because after they signed that, and let's see, what would it be? In the early 80s. Then come along the 90s. Well, during Mr. Clinton was still in office, they started all these here mega mergers. And needless to say that every mega merger that comes along, there's going to be employees losing their jobs. And that's exactly what happened. Back in the early 70s, in the 70s sometime, they broke up Ma Bell because they said Ma Bell was too big, and there's no place for a big company in this country. You got to have competitive service. So they broke Ma Bell up. Then 30 years, 20 years later, here they go. They're allowing these big mergers. A whole bunch of big mergers. Every big monstrous merger they let come, there was more and more thousands of jobs gone. That's what happened to the economy. It wasn't no bad loan or anything on the bank's part or anybody like that. It was all basically because there was nobody working paying taxes. And all these people that had good paying jobs, and as soon as that NAFTA agreement was signed, their job went overseas or down in Mexico. That's the reason why they couldn't afford to buy their houses anymore. They're not working. Governments, they can't make no tax money. There's nobody working. But, that's them people up there at the top now, they love it because they're getting rid of middle America. That's part of Mr. Reagan's plan. He was going to wipe out middle America and have just two classes of citizens, the elite and the poor. No middle class, no nothing. He just wants strictly the rich and the poor. And he was working at it, and we're still feeling the effects of it, and it's still working because the Republicans are in control of everything. You may think they're not, but they are. They keep blaming the Democrats for everything and keep telling all these stories about the Democrats just so you won't know what they're doing. Because they keep telling you this stuff, you're going to be thinking about this. You're not going to be seeing and hearing what they're doing in behind you. Well, when they've got their arm around you, they got their other hand in there and they're emptying your wallet. And believe me, they are. They've taken every job away from us. And it's time everybody in this country wakes up and starts being a good citizen, a good patriot, like everybody says they are. But they sit around and complain. But they don't know to do nothing. They don't register to vote or nothing. But they bitch and complain because their rights are being walked all over. Well, if you want your rights back, you're going to have to come out and vote. And you're going to have to vote for the right people, and you're going to have to vote the right people in office and demand one thing from them. There's one thing that's got to change in this country. And that's to put the checks and balances back in control. Just like it says in the Constitution. Checks and balances in every phase of government to protect the citizen. It's the main reason for the way that Constitution was written, was to protect the citizen. Not the few people that got all the money in the world in their hip pocket. Not them. It's the citizen. We're the ones that works. The labor's out there and makes these companies strong. The laborer. The hourly worker. Go out there and sweat your butt off for 40 hours a week. You're the one that makes these companies what they are. And about time you woke up and start voting and being a patriot like you claim to be. So, I don't know. I'm recording this on a YouTube recording device. I don't know whether I'm allowed to go any further than 15 minutes or not, but I'm going to try to. Anyway, we'll get back to that. And it's just a shame how it's gone. But they're whittling away on our freedoms. You can't smoke anywhere anymore. You can't drink when you want to or nothing. All kinds of little things. You can't do that. You can't even drive a car without wearing a safety belt now. But it's all your choice. If you want to go out and kill yourself in a car, go ahead and do it. But you don't have to have their permission. That's freedom. That's choice. That's what it's all about. Freedom of choice. And when you go in and you vote, it's your freedom of choice too. But you got to start demanding things from these politicians. And there's one big thing that you got to above everything else, and that's to get them to limit their terms in office. This career politician and walking away from with all kinds of money in their hip pockets, that is ridiculous. They go in a pauper and they come out multi-millionaires. Now this is wrong. Nobody can earn that much money in 30 years. I worked 38 years and only retired with $1.8 million in my retirement fund. And that's not much. And I'm getting just a handful of it back every month. But these guys, when they retire, gosh, they get everything. Get free medical care for the rest of their life, everything. I don't. I got to pay for it. Whether I like it or not, whether I use it or not, I got to pay for it. I got to pay for Medicare, and I can't use 90% of it. Yeah, I get the denials all the time. I end up paying more of it. I'm paying more for medical care now than what I ever did in my life. But they got a good policy out there, I guess, for the rich people. Yeah, they're self-insured. They don't have to worry about buying insurance. They go through the routine of it, but I bet you dollar, I bet Warren Buffett doesn't even own an insurance policy. He's got enough money. He doesn't have to worry about it. $20,000 is pocket change to him, but $20,000 out of your wallet, that's a year's earnings. There's a big difference. So you guys got to go out and start voting and demanding these changes. Get Social Security back the way it's supposed to be. Not the way Reagan made it in 1981. He robbed that. He's the one that changed it into that welfare system. When they first set that Social Security up, it went into with stock money, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, the government put $8 billion in there for starting that out. And it ran all those years until 1981. Then Mr. Reagan changes it all. Executive order. It didn't go through the proper channels. That's got to be changed back the way it's supposed to be. It's another thing. Voters got to demand all these things. Don't go in there and just, hey, Mr. So-and-so, how about this? You go in there and demand it. They're working for you. They're not working for no corporation. They're not working for General Electric or General Motors or somebody like that. Some corporation. They're working for the citizens. The ones that goes out and works for a living. Sure, hey, that guy's got $495 million. He's a citizen too, but still he's in a different book. He's up there with the elite. You're not. You're working for your living, making $30,000, $40,000 a year. Yeah, so you got to get out there and vote, guys. You have to get out and vote and start these changes. You gotta vote, and that's all I can tell you. Get out there and vote. So, yeah, this here Medicare's got to be changed. There's a lot of stuff that has to be changed. Get Social Security back the way it's supposed to be. Get it out of the cadmium and get it out of the budget. It's a standalone project. Like I said, they started out with $8 billion on this money. Mr. Reagan comes along, I got to rebuild my Navy. They took the money. Yeah, folks, I got 14 minutes on this thing now, so I better sign on. Say, to be continued. Okay.